guys. I was just really annoyed myself because I set up the tripod and my camera that I bought, and you need a memory card for the camera. So yeah, that was annoying, and I'd like prepared myself mentally to do this video and physically because I've done my makeup, and I just thought I need to still do it. So I'm recording this on my laptop, which is why it's not very good quality. I'm sorry. So before I like really start talking, I just want to reiterate the trigger warning that'll be in the title of the video. This is gonna be like a bit of a deep video, and if you start watching it and you start struggling, then please get help. And if you see the title of it and you don't think you're ready to watch it, then don't watch it. Although I guess it's pointless saying that, because if you're watching this right now, you're gonna watch it. It's like 11 o'clock at night and I just randomly decided to do this video. Anyway, so for a while I've been trying to think of a video to like record properly like this, like sat down talking to a camera. I'm aware that like most YouTube channels, the people start off with doing these kind of videos and then they're going to vlogging, and I've done it backwards basically, but I couldn't think of anything that I could sit and talk to you guys about. My mum bought me a book for my birthday which was like 365 ideas for vlogs. So I've had like this list that I've been working through, and I've scheduled all these posts, and on my list was a blog about abuse. And I had to think about it, and I thought it's probably going to be more effective to do a video about that, because words can be effective, you know, like written down, but you can't always get across the emotion, I think, when you're writing, and that's something that's like really important for this kind of topic. As well, it's like quite personal, and I might have been more guarded if I'd typed it out, and that might not have been of much benefit to you guys, I think. Also, please remember that this is like my first proper video, so I'm sorry if I'm a bit crap, and if I keep looking down, it's because I've got like all my notes of stuff that I need to say. And as well, if you hear any funny noises, it's my kitten Dolly, because even though she's a kitten, she's like really noisy and heavy on her feet and stuff, and she's having a bit of a crazy night, so that's her. So okay, I guess I'll just start then. The first kind of abuse that I ever experienced is bullying, which I guess is really, really common, especially sort of high school, which is when mine was. And I know they say like bullying can take lots of different forms, and I think mine mainly, it was just sort of horrible messages online, which is a bit of a, I don't know how to phrase it, because you go into school and you know you're at risk of being bullied there, and then you come away and you go home, and you're at home in the safety of your home, and you're going on the internet and they get to you there. And I think it's, in a way, it's kind of like, I don't want to say worse, It was hard for me though, because it was like no escape, because I'd get home, which was like my only safe place at that time, and then I'd be getting all these nasty messages and stuff back in the days of MSN Messenger, and there were just really horrible comments because I was quite underweight at that time, and I was called a bag of bones, a skeleton. I had a boyfriend at the time, and they said like, why would anybody be interested in you? And it was just really stupid stuff. And to be honest, I think I got through it because I kind of felt like I had bigger things going on in my life, and it was like, these are just stupid girls, like whatever. I don't know. I know bullying can be absolutely horrific for some people, and like there was a girl in hospital, and she was determined that she was like adamant that she'd had no trauma and she didn't know why she was having these problems, but then she talked about the bullying she went through at school, and I just thought, that's horrific, like that is a trauma. So I guess I dealt with the bullying. I told my mum, and obviously she told the school, who spoke to the girls that were involved. It wasn't just sort of like the online stuff as well, like in school there'd be like snide comments made, like if I spoke up in class someone would say something, and there was like always rumours going around about me, and it would be coming from like this little group of girls, so they were spoken to, and it stopped pretty much, like the online stuff stopped. The difficult thing was that the people who were doing it I thought were like my friends, so I kind of had to, I mean I was already kind of distancing myself anyway because of everything else I was going through, but I did really feel like I had no friends at that time. I think there was two girls who were like my best friends and who I was close with, but they were like also friends with these girls that were bullying me too, so it was quite hard. And I guess with like everything else that was going on as well, it was harder to even appreciate like those two girls that I would like hang around with and stuff. So yeah, that was like the sort of first instance of abuse in my life. And I guess just if anyone's out there who's being bullied, I know like the massive fear is that if you tell the teachers it's just going to make it worse and stuff, but it could also make it better, and I just think it's worth taking that chance, and if it makes it worse then, you know, cross that bridge when you come to it, but you've got to make that first move and tell somebody what's happening to you, because it might, even if it doesn't feel like it's that bad at the time, it can still be there later on in life and it can still affect you. Like, it wasn't too bad for me at the time, but still later on it's something that I can really remember like vividly, and it's something that I sort of remember from my past as a bad moment in my time. So yeah, no matter like what level it is, just speak to somebody, and I guess if the bullying isn't coming from your friendship group, then try and use your friends as well as support, and talk to them and try and appreciate them. Polly's coming because she's just, oh no, she's gonna jump off. Hi! Oh, I'm sorry, I can't resist, she's just too cute. and now she's just lying on top of my notebook, so I'm gonna mess this entire thing up. So yeah, I guess I'll go into like the main bit. I was 15 when I began being sexually abused by someone who I knew. It's really difficult, the information of it, because he hasn't been found guilty yet, so I can't sort of release names or give away any kind of details that would mean anyone would realise who it was. So I guess I can just say that I knew him. And yeah, it was when I was 15. I was at high school. I was going into my final year, and it began. He sort of saw an opportunity, as in like time alone with me, and abused it, and abused me. It started off with just sort of touching both of me too, and it progressed into a lot worse. And I think there'll always be a part of me that thinks if I'd reported it as soon as that had started, then it might not have got to the stage it did. It might not have got as bad as it did. But I didn't tell anybody, and you know, that's something that I've had to work through and deal with and come to terms with. Because if you don't report it straight away and it goes on for years and years, that's not on you. You shouldn't feel bad for that, because it shouldn't be happening to you in the first place. Like, you shouldn't be in that position where you need to report something. So if you are in that situation, if you went through it for years, months, days, whatever, because you hadn't reported the first instance, please don't feel bad, because you shouldn't have been put in that position anyway where you have to make that decision. You shouldn't have been. So it's not your fault. The decisions you make, you know, yeah, you take some responsibility for them, but if you're put in a position where you have to make that decision, it's not your fault. So don't blame yourself for whatever decision you've made. So I didn't tell anybody, and yeah, if I had have done, it might not have got as bad as it did. It might not have got as complicated as it did, because I think a lot of people that don't have any personal experience of sexual abuse and rape, which is a word that I really hate. Yeah, people who don't have personal experience of it, they seem to see it as like something quite straightforward in a way. They seem to see it as like, you were abused or raped by this person, oh my god, you must hate them. And that's it. And it's not always that clear cut, I don't think. I mean, you see a lot of stories at the minute in the media and magazines and things about people coming forward, and I know this is like really stereotypical, but like their uncles have been abusing them for years and the parents didn't know and stuff like that. And that's just like an example of a way that abuse or rape, it isn't always straightforward. It isn't always a case of this person did this, you must hate them, because there can be other feelings involved. I mean, if it's a family member, then obviously you're going to feel some kind of loyalty or something. It's going to be confusing because, you know, you're meant to love your family. And in my personal experience, the man who was hurting me, he claimed to have feelings for me, as well. And you know, he had his own family and he claimed that he would leave them and he wanted to be with me. When he did the worst thing to me, you know, afterwards he was like sat there crying and apologising and saying he was sorry it had got that far, and I don't know, I found myself like comforting him and saying like, it's fine, don't worry. This sounds so bad, I think. Well, I hope you can sort of understand, because I was told by professionals that I was like groomed because I was being told all this stuff, and it made me reporting the abuse even harder, because he was sat there saying that he loved me and that he was sorry for doing it and it was a mistake and it wouldn't happen again. And I'd never, you know, I was like 15, 16, I'd never been in a proper relationship, I didn't really know what love was. And if he was saying he did love me, then, you know, who was I to question it really? Like, the only way that I knew what was happening was wrong was because it felt wrong. I didn't know it had a name, I didn't know it was abuse, I didn't know it was rape, I didn't know I was being groomed. It just felt wrong and it hurt, like physically. So at the time, I kind of coped in a lot of different ways. At first, I began self-harming, and I would use one of the little pins on like the Coke. Hi Dolly. I'd use one of the pins from like a Coke notice board and I'd just scratch my arms with that. That was kind of, for me, the reason behind that. I kind of wanted to make my body ugly, I think, in the hope that he wouldn't be attracted to it anymore. I also, you know, part of it was to sort of oh my goodness, at least this video is going to be like original, you know, I'm not just literally showing a bum to the whole of YouTube. Oh, Dolly, I've forgotten what I was saying. I really hope I find out how to edit my videos so I can cut this out. Oh, what was I saying, Dolly? Cutting. Yeah. Making my body ugly. And to try and get attention, I guess. Like, people use the whole attention seeking phrase as a really negative thing. And from personal experience, it's really upsetting when people label your behaviour as attention seeking, but that's because it gets given a negative persona. Sounds like a good word to use. And it's not. I mean, I felt like I couldn't tell anybody what was happening to me, so I wanted to show them. So I didn't really make a massive deal about hiding my scratches. People saw them in PE and stuff, and if I rolled my sleeves up in my school uniform. And I guess people sort of knew I was doing it. I started acting out at school, like behaviour wise as well. I hadn't really had a good track record anyway with behaviour, through like lots of other different reasons and scenarios and stuff with teachers, but it got worse when he started hurting me. Because I just wanted, you know, like at that age you're in school for like most of your life, it feels like, and I wanted somebody to sit up and be like, something's not quite right with Amy, I wonder what's going on. But because I'd had the bad behaviour before, to them it wasn't like anything different or out of the ordinary. So it was kind of passed by. After high school, I started drinking to try and cope with the memories. And I know, like, at that time it was like the phase that you went through at that age was like drinking and smoking and stuff, and wearing your chav clothes and everything, hanging out in groups, and you know, had little areas of the beach that we'd drink at. But the other people in like my little group that would be drinking, they'd all have limits, and they'd be like, oh, can you get me this one bottle, and that would be all the drink. I never had limits. I just kept drinking and drinking and drinking, and I just wanted to block out like all of the memories, and not just block them out but stop them from hurting so much. And it was just so hard because nobody knew what had happened, and yes, it was over, but I mean, it lasted November till April, so what's that, like 6 months, 5 months? So yes, it had finished physically, but emotionally, you might as well have been doing it every day still, because I felt like I was still going through it like that. And then there was sort of an incident with my group of friends and another group, and the police were involved, and my mum put her foot down and was like, that's it, you're not hanging out with these people anymore. You need to go to sixth form and, you know, do your A-levels and have a future. So I enrolled at sixth form, and that was when I really started using food and exercise to cope. We started locking the school gates at the sixth form college, so that if you had a free period you couldn't leave the school building, because people were just going home in their free period and they wanted you to stay there and study and revise and stuff. So I would climb over the gates and go for a jog at like lunch times and in my free period. I wouldn't really eat that much. I'd be careful like how many calories I got to the point where I actually fainted, and I remember my mum trying to give me a biscuit and I wouldn't eat it because it didn't have the calories on the packet, and that was when I thought, yeah, this is becoming a problem. So then I started work, and that was when I started hearing voices. And I've been told, I know it's sort of like when you start having mental health problems, and as soon as they find out that you're abused and raped and stuff, it's like, right, that's the reason for it. So I get that side of it, but I've also, it's been explained to me that the hallucinations, the voices, visual hallucinations, tactile, all of that is also from the trauma, because when I was being abused, and particularly when I was being raped, I would disassociate. So I can remember being raped, not as Amy on the floor with it happening to her, but as Amy in a corner of the room watching it happening to this poor girl on the floor. So I was told that those who dissociate during the trauma are more likely to dissociate later on in life by hallucinating and like actual dissociation, which are two things that I have suffered with. So it's fair to say it was the direct result of my trauma, of the abuse. So I think that to see the abuse lead to something so dramatic and drastic and troubling and dangerous, like I would just advise anyone to get help, to speak to somebody. You know, there's no judgment on how you get attention, how you draw attention to the fact that you're being hurt. There should be no judgment for that, so go ahead and do it whichever way you need to, as long as you do it. And if you can't, if you don't feel like you can just yet, no judgment again. Like, don't be punishing yourself because you don't feel ready to tell people. You've got to do it at your own speed. And when I was finally ready to tell people, it was like all of a sudden, right, well, we're telling the police and you've got to tell your mum, or we'll tell your mum. And I was like pushed into more than I was ready for. You know, I was ready to tell people the fact that it had happened, but I wasn't ready to do a police interview on a video camcorder to be asked the questions that I was asked by them. I wasn't ready to sit down in a room and tell my mum what had happened to me. And I got pushed into it, and I don't know, it clouded my judgment of telling people about the abuse, and it made me feel like I shouldn't have told anybody. Like, it made me wish that I hadn't. So it's so important that you do it at your own, in your own time and at your own pace. Don't let yourself be pushed into anything. If you tell a professional, like a mental health professional, what's happened to you, yes, the sort of duty of care is that they report it to the police, but you don't have to take it any further than that. You can refuse. And I'm not advising that you do, but I'm just saying, if you're not ready to go to that next stage, then you can put a pause on it all. And it's important that you know your rights in this kind of thing, because I didn't know that I could refuse to cooperate. I just thought, right, well, I've got to go and have this interview now. And I wish I'd known my rights. I wish I'd known that I didn't have to be pushed into it, and I shouldn't have been made to feel, because I'd been forced into so much through that abuse anyway. Like, the last thing I needed was to be forced into talking about it. So I guess, yeah, eventually it was reported. And I've had trauma therapy, and I've had psychology, and I'm on a lot of medication for like the mental health problems that are a result of this. And I hope that other people who are being hurt, I hope that it doesn't become as serious as it has done for me. I hope that you don't ever try and take your life, and that you don't ever even want to take your life. But it's like a very real possibility with victims or survivors of abuse, because that's how horrible it is to go through. Just the memories are powerful enough to make you want to die. And I kind of feel like if you try to kill yourself and people know you've been abused, they sort of accept it more, which is completely wrong, because it shouldn't be seen as a natural reaction to abuse. But then at the same time, like, I had so many people say to me, you know, there's been loads of people that this has happened to, and they haven't gone and done what you've done, and they're not hurting themselves like you are. And it's kind of like, I don't care how they've coped, this is how I'm coping. So that's important too. Don't let anybody say that to you. Don't let anybody say to you, well, such and such is doing alright, and I read this book and she's come through it. Yeah, I'll come through it too, eventually. But for now, I'll deal with it the way I'm dealing with it. Help me stay safe with what I'm doing. Don't judge it, and don't tell me it's wrong, and don't tell me that other people can deal with it better, because that doesn't help. And people that are in a position to help you and to make you feel safe and to make you feel supported, who are in that position, they need to recognise that being in that position means that you can do more damage than anyone else can by what you say. If the postman came to my door tomorrow and was like, "Oh, I saw you in the newspaper, I can't believe you reacted the way you did, blah blah blah," I'd like shut the door in his face. But if I go into a medical hospital because I've cooked and they're like, "No, actually, let's use my overdose a couple of days ago. I was sat with police officers who told me I was a waste of time, a waste of services." They're in a position where they can support me and they can help me and they can make me feel safe. And they've abused that position and they've made me feel even worse. And that's so dangerous. And I think if professionals are watching this, then I hope that's something that they can take away from this video. If you're in that position where you can make someone feel safe, don't muck it up, because you could end up doing more damage. And you go in feeling suicidal and I get told I'm a waste of I'm a waste of time, I'm a waste of services. How am I meant to feel from that? Like, what, you want me to now have life-saving treatment? Just rant over. So yeah, I guess like the current sort of things I've got going on around the trauma, and this is like, it finished in 2007, so that's 8 years now. 8 years later, and I still have like direct problems from it. Since I've moved back to the local area, because the hospital I was in was about 200 miles away, and since I've moved back to this area, I've got a strange sort of fascination with the location of where the abuse happened. There's been a couple of nights, like really late on during the night, and I've just walked the like 7 miles to where it happened. And yes, sometimes I've sort of overdosed and cut when I've got there, but there has been some nights when I've literally just walked there and sat for a bit and then come back. And I can't explain that. I can't. At first, I always had this thing in my head that I wanted to overdose or self-harm, like at the location of the trauma. And I did that, and then I still kept going back to it, and I still can't explain it. But I guess there's something there that I need to work on and figure out and deal with. As well, being back in the local area means that I'm terrified that I'll bump into the person who did this to me, because there's a hell of a lot more chance now, because I know that he still is like in this area. And being in the specialist hospital, if I went out and I thought I'd seen him, I'd be like, well no, obviously it's not, like it doesn't live anywhere near here. But now I think I see him, it's like a very real possibility that it is him, and that terrifies me. And I worry what I would do if I did actually see him, because I've still got a lot of anger towards what happened, towards him, towards people that were like around at the time who didn't notice what was happening. And yeah, I'd be scared what I would do. And if I didn't hurt him physically, then I'd be scared what I would do to myself, I think. I kind of felt like in the specialist hospital, I felt like I laid the trauma to rest in a way, because I told the doctor pretty much everything that had happened. I told them the bits that I'd never spoke about before that were probably like affecting me the most, and were probably a big reason why like the self-harm and stuff went on for so long. I worked through stuff, I had a better understanding of what had happened to me, what it was called, that it wasn't so much my fault. I felt like more at peace with the entire thing when I left that hospital. And then I've had to sort of engage in more sort of therapy, and also coming back to the area and being back near where it happened. I just feel like it's come more to the surface now, and I think that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't say I'm relapsing, but I have started self-harming again. I've overdosed again, and I think that's probably a big reason why. It's because it feels like it's become raw again and it's back on the surface, and I haven't felt like that for a while, so I don't really know what to do with that. But that's another thing I'm having to sort of think about and work through, and I guess it's something I need to talk to professionals about, because I can't continue dealing with it by overdosing and self-harming. I need to tell them, because then I have a chance of it getting better. And that's kind of been like my main message throughout this entire video, is just that if there's a chance somebody can help you, take it. You know, I always thought that I'd rather not tell somebody everything in case they fail to help. So don't do that. Just tell them, just take that chance, and if they don't help and if it gets worse, then cross that bridge when you come to it, but at least you've took the chance. And for me to finally tell people like everything that had happened to me, and even though he's not being prosecuted and he's not sat in jail right now, and he's not like being stopped from working with young people right now, at least I've done everything I can do to stop it from happening to somebody else. There's literally nothing more I can do without breaking the law to stop it from happening to someone else. I've told the police they can do as much as they can do. So, you know, it's kind of like off my conscience now, because I've told everybody. So if it happens to somebody else, yes, it's going to be horrible, it's going to be really sad, but it wasn't my fault. And it wasn't my fault that it happened to me either, no matter how much it may feel like it was. It wasn't, because I was a 15-year-old girl and I didn't ask for it. There was something else that I just thought of as well to add on the end, and it's completely gone out of my head. I'll maybe just leave it there, because I'm very conscious that it says on the corner that I've been recording for nearly 40 minutes. And that's going to be a very long video. I need to find out how to edit videos, because I cannot put 40 minutes up. So yeah, basically, if it's happening to you, please take a chance and get some help. and fight back in whatever way you possibly can. Just fight back. I hope this video has maybe been useful to some people. If it's made people feel like they're not alone and someone else is going through it, that's good. If it's helped professionals to have a better understanding, then that's fantastic. And if one person has watched this video and thought, I'm gonna go and tell someone what happened to me, then that's amazing, and I'm honoured to be partly responsible for that decision. So yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I don't even know if that's like the right kind of thing to say about a video like this. Any thoughts, feelings, whatever, put them in the comment box below. And if there's anything you'd like to see me talk about in the future, put it in the comment below and I'll have a read through. And hopefully by then I'll have the tripod and like camera and everything set up properly. So, probably a ridiculous o'clock at night. And Dolly's like asleep over here on my bed. So yeah, I'm honoured to feel like people care enough about my life and my story to want to hear what I've got to say. And I'm gonna get all emotional. It's like the end of the video and now I'm gonna cry. No, it's just an amazing feeling to feel like you can tell your story and it could help somebody. It's an amazing feeling to feel like I might be helping someone and I might be doing something good in the world, because I'm not doing a lot of good to myself at the minute. So if I can help someone else, then that's half the battle, I guess. So on that note, yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Bye.